So, what does it really take to market a solution to a problem of the heart? Today, we're going to tear down a complete marketing strategy for a product called DonorConnect. It was built to solve a really human challenge in the nonprofit world. And honestly, it's a masterclass in how to connect a powerful tool to the people who desperately need it.
But first, let's start with the problem itself, because it is huge. I mean, think about all the effort that goes into getting just one person to donate to a cause. Now imagine losing almost 6 out of every 10 of them before they even think about giving a second time. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a massive hole in the bottom.
And here it is. Here's the number that should honestly make anybody in the nonprofit space just stop and think. 45%. That's the median donor retention rate, according to the Fundraising Effectiveness Project. So picture this. You inspire 100 people to give, and within a single year, 55 of them are just gone. That's a staggering loss of connection, of potential, of everything. Yeah, this whole cycle actually has a name. They call it the acquisition treadmill. And it is exactly what it sounds like, this relentless, completely exhausting, and super expensive process of constantly trying to find new donors just to replace the ones that are walking out the back door. It's not sustainable. Not at all.
So let's dig a little deeper into what this treadmill actually feels like for the people who are stuck running on it every single day. Because, this isn't just some abstract systemic issue. It has a very, very real human cost. Now, this quote is so telling. It comes directly from research with the exact people they're trying to help, and it just captures the tension perfectly. They know that retention is the key to everything, but their tools are completely failing them. They're stuck trying to manage these vital human relationships in like a sea of disconnected Excel files. It's a nightmare.
And what happens next? Burnout. Of course it does. We're talking about passionate, dedicated people who believe so deeply in their work. But that administrative grind, that feeling of always being behind, it just wears you down. The very mission that gets them out of bed in the morning is getting buried under all this busy work. Okay, so we've seen the struggle from inside the nonprofit. But this whole thing isn't happening in a vacuum. What is causing this mass exodus of donors? To get to the real root of the problem, we've got to look at what the donors themselves are saying. And the answer is actually surprisingly simple. It's all about connection. A 2021 study found that 52%, a clear majority, of donors say the number one thing they want from a nonprofit is stories. Stories about the people their donations actually helped. It's not about getting a tote bag or some fancy annual report. It's about seeing the impact. And this idea, it just scales up perfectly. A survey from Donor Voice identified these 7 key drivers of donor loyalty. Now, as I go through these, notice what's missing. It's all about communication, appreciation, making the donor feel like a real partner in the cause, not just an ATM. Every single one of these drivers is about feeling connected, not about a transaction. So if the problem is a fundamental lack of connection, well, the solution has to be a tool that's built specifically to create it. And this is where our case study, DonorConnect, finally enters the picture. And here's their core value proposition, just laid out in this really stark contrast. You've got the old way on the left, chaos, manual work, data all over the place. And then you have the DonorConnect way, bringing everything into one simple, intuitive place, giving these teams back their time, their control, and their sanity. So how do they do it? Well, it breaks down into 3 pretty straightforward steps. First, you centralize and clarify all the data. No more hunting through a dozen spreadsheets. Second, you connect and personalize your outreach, but you do it at scale, so every single donor feels seen and appreciated. And third, you analyze and adapt, using clear data to finally see what's working and what's not.
And their positioning statement just nails it. It's not about adding more bells and whistles. It's about stripping away all the complexity to focus on what actually builds loyalty and moves the needle. Relationships, clean data, and more time to do the real work.
But look, you can build the greatest product in the world, but if you can't get into the hands of the people who need it, what's the point? That's where a laser-focused marketing strategy comes in. In that strategy, it all starts with knowing the competitive landscape. This chart shows exactly where DonorConnect fits. You've got the giants, like Salesforce. They're powerful, sure, but they're also complicated and really expensive. DonorConnect zeroes in on ease of use and affordability, specifically for the small to mid-sized nonprofits that are so often overlooked. And once you have that focus, the channel strategy becomes crystal clear. You don't need a Super Bowl ad, right? You need to show up where nonprofit leaders and decision makers actually are online. And that means a heavy, focused investment in channels like LinkedIn, strategic email, and a website that's built to convert. It's all about precision, not just spraying and praying. All right, finally, any good strategy has to be measurable. How do you actually know if you're solving the problem? Because the real goal here isn't just about selling software licenses, it's about delivering real, tangible outcomes for these organizations. The first key metric goes right after that core problem we talked about at the very beginning. The goal is to help their users, the nonprofits, increase their own donor retention by at least 10%. That's a huge deal. The second metric is all about deepening those now stronger relationships. The target is to help users grow their average donation size by 15%. This proves that when donors feel more connected, they become more committed in their support. And finally, for this to really work, it has to scale. The goal is to get 500 nonprofits on board in the first 6 months. That would create a huge wave of organizations that are finally empowered to step off that acquisition treadmill for good. So when you put it all together, the big takeaway is this. Great marketing isn't about having the flashiest features or shouting the loudest. It's about deeply, truly understanding a real-world problem, and then just methodically aligning your product, your message, and your metrics to go out and solve it. Which really just leaves us with one final thought. For the thousands of mission-driven people out there who are feeling totally burned out by their tools, could something as simple as the right software be the missing link that finally unlocks their passion and lets them achieve their full impact? What do you think?